Peace, family. This is your boy Oni Tase Kumai from the pro-black perspective on KWAZ Radio. Haven't been with you in a minute. I've been releasing different ads and advertisements, for my book, The Book of Power. If you have it, much love. You have the best book in the world. And if you don't have it, I still love you, right? But you don't have the best book in the world, right? And I mean, if I were you, I would correct that. Those who don't got the book, just go over to Amazon.com, order it, and read it. That's pretty much it. But outside of that, this today's podcast is going to be, uh, one for the history books. Okay, we're gonna talk about this thing I like to call black self miseducation. Okay, black self miseducation and how we tend to uh, let me look up this title right here. But black self miseducation and how we tend to mix up insanity with sanity, right? And by we tend to mix up insanity with sanity, what I'm saying here is that uh, basically, if there was a doctor, right? If there was a doctor out there who was injecting folk with AIDS, right? But he still had a good reputation, but he was injecting folk with AIDS. If he was out there injecting folk with AIDS, a lot of black folk would still send their children to that doctor, okay? Or they'd even go to the doctor themselves, and then they'd say, "Man, that doctor's insane. He's injecting people with AIDS." And my thing is this: like, if that, oh, you say, "Yo, man, that doctor's pathological. He's injecting folk with AIDS. He's injecting black folk with AIDS. He's pathological." And it's like, nah, dude. The dude is just doing what he want to do. You the one going to him. You the one know his reputation, and you going to him. And I mean, some of you might be like, "Yo, that's wild, man. Black folk ain't like that." Actually, recently in these here, and this is mainly America. I'm sorry. I'm trying to wean away from this American sentiment. That's why I got this latest book. See, my first book was a little bit on the, America's pretty, America got some pretty cool cats. The pro black compendium was like, "Yo, America got some pretty cool cats." Zuberi was like, "Yo, real talk. If we had a strong Africa, we can also have a strong America. Like, real talk, right?" But this Book of Power is like, "Yo, my dude, really, like, yo, let's go build up Africa." You know what I'm saying? Let's be for real about that. Because if we ain't for real about that, then you could call it off. You know. So this one, black self miseducation, mixed insanity with insanity, and vice versa. What I'm talking about is that we here, particularly in America, right? And I mean, this is gonna be one of those American census things. So if you just like, "Yo, I don't even want to hear about America," right? Then it's all good. Just get you the Book of Power. You good, right? But we have to address like the elephant in the room, right? And the reality that sometimes we be calling these white folk in America like insane and pathological, and it's like, yo, but they doing what they supposed to be doing. Like, if they was like if you were in their position, you would be doing the same thing. And some of it, or if you were sane, you'd be doing the same thing. Okay. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. So I'm gonna first start you off with, like, where's the context, right? So, this brother, and bear in mind, I want you to understand this, that I started to realize there's a pattern in America, right? There's maybe three main strands of thought in America, and this is gonna impede you, real talk. And you don't want to hear this because real talk, you might be one of these strands of thought. Like, if we being honest, or let's even yeah, if we being honest, you might be one of these strands of thought. But there's the Fullerite, you know. The Fullerite is, yo, white supremacy this, white supremacy that, right? There's the Malcomite. The Malcolmite is like, yo, let's not even talk about religion, right? Let's not even talk about religion. Let's, we're quote unquote separatists, while we up in America. And then there's the Wilsonite, and the Wilsonite is like, hey, I'm really, the best of the nationalist strands, but I'm still in America, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But these are the three main strands. So, like, technically, I'm engaged in a Wilsonite, and I mean, he's good people. but you could see because you know because and I bring this up because the brother when I engaged him he was like, yo, here's what I got it from, and he sent me Amos Wilson video, and I was like, and you know Amos Wilson's like, yo, this, you know, white folks is pathological, you know, for XYZ, and it's like, nah, I don't see the pathology like in what we talking about, right? But here's what we was engaging in, right? What we were engaging in, right? And it was you know, Brian said, look here, just look at the Academy Awards. You know, he's like, look, if you want to see, and I'm just gonna, you know, cut our conversation short. You know, it don't seem like the brother really wanted to, you know, have this out there. So I'm just saying, like, I'm just gonna cut the, you know, the meat and potatoes. You know what I'm saying? And or for you vegans, you know, the potatoes or whatever, right? Uh, but anyway, so simple. Man, he's like simple. He's like, yo, look at the Academy Awards, right? What role do black actors and actresses, you know, he's like, and he's not talking about sound engineers, you know, win Oscars for, you know? And he's like, it'll make you want to vomit, you know, because it's all negative stereotypes of black docility or white savior complexes. So my thing is this. I say, look, when it comes to white folk, I don't blame them for giving black folk, you know, negative stereotypes and docility because, like, when I made a novel, right? I made a novel, Zabir and the Moons in My Eye. I had negative stereotypes for whites. You know, it's what people should do. Now, at first the brother didn't understand what I was saying. You know, he was thinking I was saying, you know, something about blame or whatever. But I said, no. When I say I don't blame white folk, I mean white people are right to do that. You know what I'm saying? I have to say that I don't blame a superordinate people for giving inferior roles to a subordinate people. Now, of course, I don't know what happened, but this bro says something along the lines of, and I'm like I said, I'm trying to paraphrase so that y'all ain't in his mentions like that. You know what I'm saying? But he's something like he's like, I don't think of myself as a superordinate or subordinate, which is like, what are you talking about? Like this is the trouble, right? But this is, I hear this from another sister too, and I heard this from a sister, and she was like, I wouldn't even put her in the four schools of thought because she was in the UK, right? But you know, there's this constant. Like for instance, the next thing the brother says is something like, that's European pathology, and I have no intention of replicating the African continent. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's something that a lot of us would say for some reason. Like, we think that what white folk are doing is like strictly for white folk. And that's like not the case. Like, what white folk are doing, if you really engage the history, and by the way, you can engage the history by coming into my fitness group. You know what I'm saying? So I have this fitness club where we really just reading books, but we got exercises there too. But what we reading right now is Drusilla Dungy Houston, and in Drusilla Dungy Houston, she tells you what black folk be doing. You see what I'm saying? And the trouble with us is that we think that what white folk are doing is what white folk will do, and we don't do that. You know, because we still defining ourselves against white folk. But what I'm saying is that if you look at the record, you'll see that what African people do, okay? Like, white folk are biting Africans. You see what I'm saying? So you don't call it, you know, it ain't no European pathology to make one people better than the other people. You see what I'm saying? Because that's what we've been doing. You see, like for instance, you go to Kemet, everybody love Kemet. You go to Kemet, and what happens in Kemet is, you know, black people were the ruling class. Period. It doesn't matter what the population was. You know, and this is why I say that, you know, we have to have a deeper understanding of nationalism that's not being like real talk. If you go by the three main strands, you know, the Fullerite, the Malcomite, and the Wilsonite, you're not getting a good sense of nationalism. Period. And I mean, a lot of you don't want to hear that, but like, this is facts. You see what I'm saying? Because most black folk do not understand nationalism, right? So the brother though, I'm going to continue. He says he believes in self-love, self-respect, and acting in one's own self-interest. So he's saying that is contradictory to this whole film industry, where if you put in your enemy race, the race you're at war with, in an inferior position, that's not self-love, that's not self-respect, and that's not acting in your own interest. And to me, that's like bizarro world. And that's why I talk about black self-miseducation, because we engage in, you know, black ideologies. Like, black people are telling us, look, it would be wild to put yourself above a white man. You see what I'm saying? Now listen to me though. Garvey put himself above white people. You see what I'm saying? He let you know, look, anything the white man could do, you could do better. if or you could do as well, if not better. You see what I'm saying? Garvey was about that. So when we talk about Garveyism and Garveyites, we have because this brother, I told you he's a Wilsonite. So he was saying, look, James McIntosh, I don't even know who that is, real talk. I mean, I know he's here in New York. I don't know why he's being used as an authority, but he's like James McIntosh called Amos Wilson the best Garveyite or the biggest advocate for Garvey. I don't even know what he's talking about right there. Because first off, like I got Carlos A. Cook's book, and look, if you want that Carlos A. Cook's book, just hit me up just hit me up anywhere, right? And by the way, I got a Discord too. I got a WhatsApp group, and you can hit me up on YouTube, and of course, like I said, I got books on Amazon. So do all those do all those three. But what I'm saying is that like Garvey was about black people are superior, period. Okay, and even his protege, Carlos A. Cooks was like black people superior, period. You see what I'm saying? And yes, I repeated this. I put these stuff in the Book of Power. So if you want to check it out for yourself, look in the Book of Power. If not Garvey's words, if not Carlos Cook's words, and like I said, I could send you the Carlos A. Cook's words for free. It don't even matter. But let's continue. So I say, look, exactly. White self-love and self-respect and acting in their own interest is giving themselves a superior role, and preferably giving the other an inferior role. That's why I expound the nationalist perspective. This perspective allows us to see whites as doing right by them. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something that we don't understand. That white people are doing right by themselves. When they doing what they doing against you, they doing good for them. And I told the brother, I said, look here, this is like basic. This is like basic general rules of warfare. So I'm gonna actually open that page for later, and so the brother, he says something like, he says, look, I don't see what they. He's like, and this is where this whole thread is coming. This is where this whole podcast is gonna come through. This whole episode is about. He says, I don't see what they often do as necessarily doing right by them. He brings up invading Afghanistan and Iraq, choking Eric Garner, going easy on Amber Geiger, casting blacks in negative movie roles, and blacklisting Nate Parker isn't self-love or self-interest, it's psychopathy, right? Psychopathy, whatever, right? And my thing is this, like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, where is this coming from? Now, I told you, my dude, he sent me some clip of Amos Wilson where I don't actually see the relationship. That's why first, and another thing is that I don't even know, like, I don't know how I could record it to send it to you. I mean, it's already on the YouTube link, but like, I don't even know if it's worth looking into for you. But my thing is this: I want to engage this because this bro's saying this is psychopathic, and it's like, or that this is not self-love or self-interest. And so what my thing is this: I want to show you how these are self-love, self-interest. I did engage, but I say, look, bro, you want to do this like as a debate online or something like that. But I realize, like debating is kind of hard with the timing and all that, and plus, like the technology, YouTube done took off Google Hangouts, so it's just a little more complicated to record something live, and then it's just then you got to edit, it's just not worth it. But what I will do is I'm gonna show you, like, I'm just gonna go one by one. If the brother want to respond, brother want to engage, he can do that. If you don't want to respond, you don't want to engage, you can do that. It don't even matter, right? So let's see. Let me just engage this right here. Let me just look into what this is about right here. So I'm gonna see what I said. So how I responded was, that'd be an interesting discussion. I might come out as a white apologist, for discussing these things, but these are in fact self-love and self-interest. And I said I'm not really too comfortable discussing the choking, but I said I was down for a debate, and then I say, here's this though. I say, if you prefer a light conversation, we can do that. But otherwise, I say these examples are self-love and self-interest, and they follow a basic war principle shared by Machiavelli on the nuances of how benefit and harm are related. Now, the brother then says something like he likes Machiavelli. Don't know why, but he said he's read Machiavelli. He agrees with some tactics, but not necessarily his philosophy. don't know if I didn't say nothing like that, but it's whatever, right? And he said this would be an interesting debate. Maybe one day, not today though, right? Anyway, so here let me show you what the Machiavelli thing was though, because it wasn't really Machiavelli. Like you didn't really need to read Machiavelli to get it. I just didn't want to type it out because I'm always typing it out. But it says what benefits the enemy harms you, and what benefits you harms the enemy, right? So that's the basic principle in war. It's like it's like the first commandment in war, if you will. If y'all for y'all biblical fans, but like it's like for the first tenet, for you fans of my works. But the whole thing is that if it benefits you, right? If it benefits you, it harms your enemy, and if it harms you, it benefits your enemy. Period. Or whatever benefits your enemy harms you. Period. So, like, if you look at this from that perspective, right? You don't look at it. It's not psychopathy. It's not psychopathic, right? It is white folk looking to benefit themselves and harm their enemies. So, like, the white folk in America are not the Afghani or Iraqi people. Okay, so that's point one, right? They're not really in cahoots with the Afghani and Iraqi people. So invading Afghan and Iraq, particularly for their resources, right? Because what happens is this, like this is basic knowledge, all right? If you let me say it this way: if I want to, let's just talk basic economics, all right? Let's say I'm running a block, right? Let's say I'm a drug dealer, right? I'm a drug dealer. No, I'm not really. Not. You already know that. But anyway, like I don't even gotta explain that. But let's say I'm a drug dealer, right? And you a drug dealer. Now that might be true, right? Now I'm just playing with you. I mean, I don't know, but let's say we both drug dealers, right? All right. Now let's say you the one. Let's say in fact you the one who. Let's say I gotta connect to get cocaine in the hood. You gotta connect to get marijuana in the hood. All right. But the connect only work with you. Cocaine only work with me. And on the real, like sometimes you and I would exchange cocaine and marijuana, so that I could also sell some marijuana and you could also sell some cocaine. You get what I'm saying? And I'm just using the drug example. I don't even know why, but let's just use it for now, right? Now here's how it worked. It would be in my interest, right, for me to get direct marijuana access instead of paying you for it. You see what I'm saying? Because if I get the direct marijuana access, then I don't need to lose money to you. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you have to come to me for marijuana and cocaine, right? If you have to come to me for marijuana and cocaine, then I am profiting from your selling of marijuana, as well as your selling of cocaine, as opposed to the former where you profiting from me selling marijuana and I'm profiting from you selling cocaine. And I use this example, just to tell you the nuances of the global economy. White man in America is selling cars, okay? He's selling cars, okay? He's an automobile manufacturer, right? These cars, these vehicles that he has use oil. He don't have the oil, okay? So this is what we call, matter of fact, it's called vertical ownership of an economy, okay, or of a product, a product or a service. So everybody should now this is one of the things that they teach you we teach you in Zubiri and rooms of Ma'ah. But basically, everybody should have a product, and of course that would in turn be taught in all the other books after, and all the books after that, whatever. But everybody should have a product, and like I said, it's in the Book of Power, it's all of them, right? Everybody should have a product, but if you're gonna be about selling a product, you want horizontal ownership and you want vertical ownership, right? And what vertical ownership means is that you own the resources as well as the manufacturing, as well as the distribution, as well as that, so on and so forth. So I say this to say, if Afghanistan and Iraq have resources for you to have vertical ownership in an industry, then you invading Afghanistan and Iraq is in your self-interest. You, sorry, bro. Oh, sorry. You might be a cis, right? Why not? Uh, I mean, a lot of sisters like listening to me, right? Put it in the comments if you do. Uh, all right. Anyway, but look, what I'm saying is that that's in your. It's not psychopathic to want to have vertical ownership in the industry or vertical control in the industry. Now, there's a real economical term. I don't really like. I'm podcasting not in some studio, not after doing some big research or whatever. I'm just telling you what an IS is. Okay, there is a aspect of self-interest. And you could even say self-love if you want to say, look, when you love yourself, and this is something that black folks need to understand. When you love yourself, you're doing right by you. Okay, so it follows through with the self-interest. But the whole idea that, oh well, it ain't self-love, it ain't self-interest. How is it not self-interest to have vertical control over an industry? Like this is the thinking that we have to address. This is why I'm saying how we getting miseducated by our own people. you know. And I'm going to include, I mean, some of you don't want to hear this. I'm going to include Fuller, Malcolm, and Wilson. Because how could you engage their material and come out with this idea that it ain't in your self-interest to have vertical control in an economy or in an industry? Like, you got to be miseducated. Something got to be miseducating you. Like, you can't engage my material and then say, you know what, I don't think I should. Like, you can't do that. Because I'm trying to educate you. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to let you know how economics and world power and geopolitics work. You see what I'm saying? And how they work is that it's not in your self-interest to be paid. If you're America and you sell vehicles or you drive vehicles, it's not in your interest to not get oil cheaply. It's not in your interest to be subject to the whims and markets of the leadership in Afghanistan and Iraq. Now, we're going to go to this one. This one I tell you might be a little uncomfortable to discuss. But the choking of Eric Garner. Choking of Eric Garner is not... Now, this one's a little more complicated. This one's a little more nuanced. Because... And I'm going to give you an example, matter of fact. So, I'm walking by this Jew man's house the other day. Okay? Walking by this Jew man's house, and I just hear a lot of yelling, you know? Well, first I hear him say he got a package in front of his house, and his son is like, come on, hurry up. And he's like, oh, cool, a package, I didn't know. And he's like, hurry up. And then I see this guy just like kind of jog over to his vehicle. And when he jogs over to his vehicle, what happens there is the vehicle, then he puts on a siren on the top of his vehicle and he drives off to wherever he's going. And what that told me was that he belonged to a people who are policing themselves. You see? He belongs to a people who are policing themselves. And because he's policing himself, right? He's addressing the crime in his community, the crime or the accidents or the mishaps in his community, right? So when you have this Eric Garner situation, right? What you notice is that you're dealing with a people who do not police themselves. And this is important because every people are supposed to, like, everybody's supposed to be policed in some capacity. But if you policing yourselves, that's the best way to be policed. But if you are not policing yourself, and the reality is this, you're not. Because you are not policing yourself, you, in fact, are the insane one. You understand? Especially since there's not really, I mean, there might be some sort of law against policing yourself. Not exactly. Because, again, like I said, this Jew man I saw, he's in America too, right? So there's not necessarily a law against policing yourself, but, or even organizing a neighborhood watch, as they call it, or whatever you might say, right? But you're not doing it anyway. And so there was actually a recent case, and this one was actually pretty regretful. This one's actually really a sad story. And this is why I'm like, yo, I don't even mess with America like that, But there's a sister. Her name was, let me look it up because it was an interesting name. I think it's, oh yeah, Atiana Jefferson. Now this one's a sad story, right? Basically, the sister, she playing video games in her house. I think she opened the door because, she opened her front door because, she heard I mean, she just wanted some cool air in the house, right? Now, I mean, usually, I wouldn't like just crack a door open. I have a mesh door or something. But I think she was staying at somebody else's house, like like a sister's house or a mother's house or something like that, right? Anyway, she leaves her door open, and it's like 2 a.m. She's playing video games, which is with her nephew. Now, this is kind of late to be playing video games with your nephew, but it ain't even important, right? It's 2 a.m. Door's open. Her neighbor sees her door open. He's like, "Hey," he calls the police for a wellness check. Now, understand this. That's almost all you need to know, except for the fact that the tragedy that is that police walk up to her window and just shoot her through the window, killing her right there and then. So they call for a wellness check. Police sees her in the window and shoots her dead while she's playing video games. That's it. But you got to go back to what we are doing as a people. This brother, or this, I'm hesitant to even call brother, but this man says, "I'm gonna call the police." Now he don't call. Now this is where the insanity is, because like I said, I just saw Jew Man. Okay, he was called for a wellness check, or along those lines, or he is called for a wellness check. Rushes out, drives over, puts on a siren. You don't even got to put on a siren, real talk. But you just drive over, and you do your own community welfare wellness check, right? This brother didn't do that. He called the police. Okay? And again, like I said, if you engage a doctor who's known to inject you with AIDS or inject black folk with AIDS, if you engage that doctor, you the insane one. The police shooting black folk, but somehow you think it's normal to just call them to police you. Like you don't engage in enough self-policing for it to be, like there's no self-policing, there's no code of self-policing around you. Because see, other people, if you call Wazungu police, they might alienate you. You see what I'm saying? They might alienate you. For you as a people, when you call Wazungu police, you are being normal. You're doing the right thing. This is what it's called, like this is the miseducation, this is the insanity. And here's the reality too, that the Wazungu police in America are going to be top. They're going to be the police, period. You see what I'm saying? So even for the Jew man, they're going to be police. Particularly if anybody calls them, they're going to be the head dog, the head honcho. But the reality is that, because you're not doing for your own people, this is what happens, And so like you go to the Eric Garner case, part of the reason why that would be the self-interest of white folk is because one, first off, if you notice, Eric Garner was a big guy, So they took down a big guy. That's supposed to put fear in the minds of black folk. Okay, that's supposed to put fear in the minds of black folk. That's going to let you know, because like for instance, somebody said that's the reason why they in movies they kill the black in horror movies they kill the black man first, because they were saying because everybody know the black man to be the dominant man, the strongest man. So if you kill the alpha man first, right? If the enemy kills the alpha man first, then everybody else who's weaker than him got no chance. You get what I'm saying? It's like when you go after the big guy in the prison. If I go into prison, ancestors forbid, but if I go into prison and I beat up the biggest dude, the dude who's running the show, right? Ain't nobody else gonna be like, oh yeah, you know what? Let's take this guy on one-on-one. You understand? And it's the same with the horror movie. It's the same with the Eric Garner case. It's in the white man's self-interest to not back down, to not to pretty much dominate the population that he's trying to dominate, to physically dominate, to physically kill, to physically be above the population that he's trying to dominate. Period. And if you can't see that, and if you see that as pathological, then you're mistaken what pathology is. You see, because he's exercising control. He's not in America like the white man is not in America. He don't have black folk in America to not have them under control. Okay? He don't have that. It don't make no sense for him to be like, you know what, let's just keep black folk. Let's just leave black folk alone and let them, like That would be pathological. To enslave a population, and then just set them and just say, hey, you know what? Let's coexist. Where in fact you can be my economic, political, and cultural rival. That don't make any sense. That's the pathological. But that's what these people are like. That's what, like I said, you go back to Fullerite, you go back to the Malcomites, you go back to the Wilsonites. That's what they expect you to think. That somehow white folk are doing wrong by doing right by them. So let's engage the next example. The next example is going easy on Amber Geiger. Now here's what you have to understand about the Amber Geiger case. She killed a black man. Okay, so Amber Geiger, some of y'all don't know, Amber Geiger had a neighbor. Okay, her neighbor was on, like, let's say the floor above her or the floor below her. I don't really pay attention too much, but I don't really know from the top of my head, right? But he's on the other floor, like either directly above her or directly below her. So now if you already understand, she probably heard of this dude. Like, she probably heard this dude playing music once upon a time. Who knows, right? Either way, she walks into his apartment, and get this. Some people say, look, the apartment door is shut by themselves. There was no way that door was open. Okay, so somehow she gets into this dude's apartment, right? He's eating a bowl of ice cream, right? I think he put on a movie. Ice cream was still cold, okay? And she just pumps him twice, doom, shoots him twice, and that's it. He dead. Then she starts texting her man, saying, I'm in trouble, and she don't even try to save this dude's life. And then police come in, and they kind of like, I think they like plant marijuana on him and stuff like that. Point being that eventually, after all this, she gets 10 years. And bear in mind, 10 years is nothing for murder. Okay, so she's guilty of murder. She one of the few police officers guilty of murder. And it's kind of obvious that you're guilty of murder because you just walked into some dude's apartment and shot him while he was eating ice cream. Okay? But she only gets 10 years, and she planned on appealing. And 10 years is like remarkably small because she was supposed to get like 99 years or maybe like 20 something years. She got 10 years. Okay, and it's 5 years, and like she could get out in 5 years. Okay, so pretty much 5 years for killing a black man. Meanwhile, like if you're a black person and you like straight up 10 years is nothing. Okay, like period, like straight 10 years is nothing in America. Now being realistic, 10 years is still a long time in real life, but like in America. Like in the rest of the world, 10 years is actually a long time, maybe, possibly. Maybe not for murder, but it's a long sentence. But in America, that's a normal sentence for a black person, like for anything. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna say you get 10 years for jaywalking, but you could get 10 years for jaywalking. You know what I'm saying? Like not literally, but I'm just saying like there's petty crimes that you can get 10 years for in America, and this white woman got 10 years for killing a black man. Now you might say, well, look, that's psychopathic, that's pathological. No, that's in their self-interest. Because again, look here. The government of a people is supposed to function to protect those people. The government of white people is supposed to function to protect white people. You are the insane one to think that the government of white people is supposed to function and protect your people. Because you still thinking that you are American. And I don't know why my voice cracked like that. I know some of y'all just like, what happened to this dude? All right, but what I'm saying is this, that the government of white folk is supposed to protect the government, the people of white folk, white folk, and then maybe protect the rest of you. Okay, maybe, possibly, not necessarily, but that's how it is, and that's how it's supposed to be. So that's the reason why you will say stuff is wrong in Africa, because a lot of times the African governments are not really protecting the African people as much as, and particularly they might be protecting white folk over African people. Like I remember I was reading the story about Kenya. In Kenya, you could go down to a local bar, like one of the local bars, let's say Nairobi, right? You go down to Nairobi and you go to the bars and you will see these white men there. And these white men are are soliciting like young girls for sex. Young is 9, 9 to 16 or whatever, soliciting them for sex in public. And the Minister of Tourism is like, oh, it's cool, we getting tourist money. We getting tourist money. You see what I'm saying? That right there is like a bad government. in that sense. You get what I'm saying? The Minister of Tourism looking the other way while these white folks are just walking around the beach soliciting young girls for sex. That's a bad government. But it's the opposite in America. In America, if a white person does a crime, but it's a crime against a black person, right? Then by the system that puts white people's interests first, by the system of white self-love, going easy on that white person is consistent with self-interest and self-love. And it's inconsistent with pathology. What would be pathological, what would be psychopathic, would be for them to hammer their daughter. You see what I'm saying? For them to mistreat, or not mistreat, but for them to hold their daughter accountable for something that she did against a black person, right? That would be against their self-interest. That would be against their self-love. You see what I'm saying? That would be self-hatred. See, and the trouble is that black folk, what we do is we engage in self-hatred ourselves. We say, look, hey man, if a white person and a black person fight, and the black person's kicking ass, we're gonna pull the black person off him. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, don't beat him up, man. He's just another human being, right? Whereas a white person, he sees a white person kicking a black man's ass. If that happens, and it does happen, I ain't gonna front. But if that happens, white person's gonna be like, get that, you know what I'm saying? Get that N-word. And you're going to be like, well, he's just a racist. He's pathological. No, he's looking out for him. The trouble is that you, like I said, you mixing sanity with insanity. You would be insane to put, like, if in the case of a black person, quote unquote, accidentally killing a white person, you would be insane, okay, to say, you know what, we're going to kill that black person for that. Because that means that you don't put black life above white life, okay? White person puts white life above black life, and you say he don't have self-love, you say he don't have self-interest, where that makes sense to you. That's what I'm trying to tell you about, the mixing of sanity and insanity, okay? This is what I'm trying to tell you about, the mixing of sanity and insanity. You're not understanding it. If you are trying to advance your group, advance your people, which is something you're supposed to be doing, then you cannot also advance another people, or you cannot put another people on the same level as you. And if you are putting another people on the same level as you, you are the one that's being insane, not them. You see what I'm saying? Now you might be like, hey man, but I'm losing out. If the white man puts himself above me, then like I'm being screwed over. Yeah, you're supposed to be. You ain't white. It's like in the pro-black, the Book of Power. I got a quote from, I got that speech. Black people just don't get it. Okay, that's by Barbara Sizemore, right? Good sister, right? Good speech. You listen to that speech. Listen to that speech, right? But in that speech, she's like, look, black folk complain about not being in like how the Korean shops, right? The Korean hair salons or whatever they are, right? The Korean shops, whatever they may be, don't hire black folk. And she's like, of course they don't hire black folk. It's a family-owned business, a family business. You ain't family. You ain't Korean. You see what I'm saying? And you the insane one saying, hey, they don't hire us, so why are we gonna go there? And I'm not saying, well, we going there, but they ain't hiring us. Yes, they not gonna hire you in a family business. America, the government is a family business. America is a family government. Okay? America is a white system. And the truth is this, when you go to Africa, because people are like, yo man, Africans are so tribalistic. They're so tribalistic, They say, oh man, they're so tribalistic. The reality is, it's families looking out for families. A tribe, if you will, is a tribe looking out for families. And the truth is this, that, and this is the thing that you're not even understanding, that the quote unquote tribes are permeable in the sense of you can marry another tribe and become a part of that tribe. You know what I'm saying? Your children are a part of that tribe. So it's not like, but the reality is that it's like you have to look out for your family interests. Your family interests. And in the Amber Geiger case, it's in the white family interest to not penalize a white person for a black death. And of course, and look, and this is like I say about with the doctor. This is what I say about the doctor, and he has a reputation for giving black folk AIDS, and you still going to him. White boy wrote it in Dred Scott. Dred Scott was never repealed or anything. White boy wrote it in Dred Scott before any of us were born. All of us know about Dred Scott. And yet you still go into the white court for black justice. Or you still don't think America is the white man's. But look, like I said, you got to go to Garvey. Garvey tells you America is the white man's. Period. If you don't understand that part, and that's what I'm saying, like, that's what I don't get. Like I said, the brothers are Fullerites. Oh, no, the brothers are Wilsonite. If you listen to if you think Wilson's the best Garveyite in the planet, but you don't seem to grasp that that America is a white man's nation, then it don't make no there's a misclaim that there's something missing with the Wilsonite perspective. Period. Because look, if you go to Dr. Ben will tell you America is the white man's. See, Dr. Ben was a Garveyite, a real Garveyite. Okay, Carlos A. Cooks. I don't know if I can't remember if he says I think he did. He says America's a white man. Garvey says America's the white man. That's one of the fundamental principles of Garveyism. And I say this to say that look, there's a lot that you can learn, that you could take and not take from Garvey, right? But this is one of the things that I think you should take. The reality that you are in a white man's nation, period. And I think that was actually, and really fundamentally, I believe that was central to Garvey's perspective. Like that was central. You know? And that and like somebody in the one of these political movements, they were pointing out how Garvey had the American flag while he was doing parades in America, because he understood that, because even though he had the RBG, the red, black, and green flag, he understood that yes, America is a white man's country, okay, and an American flag is a white man's, okay, and we just have to understand that. Period. Anyway, let's go to the next one. So it's like casting blacks in negative movie roles. Now, again, this is more like for the people who understand like being creative. You know, when you write in a story, you have like let's say you have like let's say it this way. I got a positive story about a revolutionary who fights against like it's got a feel good movie that makes you feel like revolutionary activity is good, and being articulate and being well reposed, all that, like if I write a story like that that's supposed to make you feel good, like the protagonist supposed to make you feel good about yourself, make you feel smart, intelligent, so on and so forth, then if I wrote the book, black man writes that book, then that character, that protagonist, better be black, right? If the love interest, right, it's supposed to be beautiful and intelligent and charming and all that, and you know, you're like a sister or whatever, right? Or like I'm saying, like if the love interest, or even like let's say if I'm writing a brother, like if I'm writing the protagonist as a woman, like basically what I'm saying is that if you're writing a story and the protagonist and they love interest is a heterosexual, powerful, couple or power couple and all that, then as a black person, I'm supposed to make those people black, okay? If I have characters that are, slovenly and lazy and so on and so forth, then I could make them either black or white. But I'm putting out a message if they are white. As a black person, I'm not putting out a message if they're black or white. Because I'm saying, look, if I say that there's negative black people, like for instance, when we talk about drug dealing, if I say, oh yeah, the drug dealer in my story, they're all black, right? What I'm saying to you subconsciously is that black people can be drug dealers, okay? And not just black. And if all of them are black, I can say, black people are frequently drug dealers, or frequently the drug dealers are black folk. You see what I'm saying? Now, if I cast them as whites, right, in the story, right, it might not look right to some people because y'all already got that prejudice in y'all, or y'all already eating up the American media, whatever, right? I should have done that, but I'm not gonna edit that. But if I make them white drug dealers, okay, or whites who are slovenly and whites or whatever, right? Then suddenly it has that subconscious thing where it's like, look at these white folk. You see what I'm saying? So then I say this to say that if I am, and this is another thing to understand too, that if I'm making a movie, right, I gotta put up the money for it, okay? Or if black people making a movie, black people gotta put up the money for it. So if black people are putting the money for it, they should put up the money for them to be cast as positive. And if anybody's gonna be negative, it should be another people, a different people. Okay? And and this is sane. This is self-interest. This is self-love. For self-love, if I made a movie that had a white protagonist with a white love interest and they were phenomenal, they were, oh my gosh, they're amazing, they're witty, they have blah blah, and then I made all the bad characters black, you would say, yo, dude, you doing some self-hatred. But at the same time, this is what like I said, this Wilsonite or whatever, this brother's saying. He's like, hey, now y'all hear that? I'm blowing up, right? I'm not doing that. But anyway, look, he's saying Fullerite. No, he's saying the white man is psychopathic because he casts himself in a positive role and casts black folk in a negative role. And like, where does that make sense? Or he's not even looking for his self-interest. He's not looking for self-love because he putting himself in a positive role and black folk in a negative role. Now, like, he ain't black. You know what I'm saying? Like some of you just not getting that fat. You're just not getting it that the white man is not a black man. And because he's not a black man, him going against black people is not instances of self-hatred. You see what I'm saying? Him going against black people is not instances of him going against his self-interest. Like, it don't make no sense. It's not psychopathic to put yourself above another person in any capacity. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm lining up, if there's like 5 lines in a grocery store, and I go walk into the shortest row, like I look at all the tellers or whatever, and I see, oh, this one's the shortest, and I walk into the shortest line. That's me acting in my self-interest. That's me, like it ain't no, if I like what, and then you gonna be like, well, he ain't make the black man, I ain't put the white man in front of me, so I'm a psychopathic, or I ain't line up behind the white guy in the longest line. I just lined up in the line that served my purposes best, so I'm psychopathic for that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, understand that there are different people in this world. They are in competition. They are. If you want to look at it as, you can look at it as families. There are different families looking to have different resources, and them. And like these white people, when they doing these movies, they put in their money behind it. Not only they put in their money behind it, but they looking for an audience to eat it up. They looking for an audience to say, I want to watch that. White people white people want to watch movies that make them feel good about themselves, even if it's at the expense of not feeling good about themselves. Or even at the expense of not feeling good about other people. You see what I'm saying? And that's what it's supposed to be, because they're not the other people. Like it don't add up that you seem to think that that our people are being miseducated by ourselves again. Because like I said, this brother, like when I was engaging him, he was like, yo, if you understood world history, if you understood African history, I'm just like, what is this bro talking about? Like, yo, like I wrote the book on, like, almost like I'm half tempted to write books on African history. Like, I'm half tempted to do that. But bro's like, yo, if you understood world history, you see how the white boy's psychopathic because he put in you as a negative role in the movie. Like, no, he's supposed to. Why would he not? That's what I'm not like. This is why I'm saying that we get in the insanity and he's getting the sanity. Now we gonna go to this last one, which is Nate Parker. So he says blacklisted Nate Parker, and blacklisted Nate Parker is like, yeah, that's in the white boy's self-interest. And it's not so much because Nate Parker, they accuse, because I say, look, Nate Parker is innocent with regards to this, and this is what I'm saying right here too. Like, he's accused of raping a white woman, right? I don't like my thing is this, like, that should not impact you as a black person, period. If he was accused of raping a black woman, different story. But if he, and my thing is this, first off, I think it's nasty. Why are you even messing with white women like that, right? That's one. But two, it's like, if harm is done, like, I don't really care about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's sick. I think it's disgusting. Matter of fact, cause rape is not a good thing. But like you go to Edward Cleaver. Edward Cleaver was like, yo, I'm gonna rape white women in order to, for like this is like a leading Black Panther. Like, he's one of the leading Black Panthers, and he's talking about, I'm gonna rape white women, for revenge against a white man or something like that. But he's like, for practice, I'm gonna rape black women. Like, yo, that dude is sick. That dude is like, and he's a leader of the Black Panther Party. That's why I'm like saying to you, I don't mess with America like that. Y'all mess with America. I don't mess with America like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like I don't even know why I'm here, to be honest. I'm just trying to afford. Like, that's what I'm saying. Help me sell my book so I could afford to leave. You know what I'm saying? Period. You know, just help me sell my book. Go to everybody you know and be like, yo, buy this book. Shut up, buy this book. I don't care what you think, what you doing. Shut up, buy this book, because this brother needs to leave America, because America's, America, these police, white boys is opening doors and shooting folks, and he don't want to be here for that. He don't want to be here for that. But he's not a psychopath. But let's go back to this. Nate Parker. Nate Parker does a movie on Nat Turner. Now look, again, they didn't blacklist him when he did The Great Debaters. They didn't blacklist him when he did any other movie. He's a good actor. He's a really good actor, right? They ain't blacklisted for none of that. But when he's doing Nat Turner, and by the way, his Nat Turner is mad whitewashed. But notwithstanding that, when he's doing Nat Turner, talking about a black war hero, has scenes of black love, okay? Has scenes of white people cast as negative roles. You see what I'm saying? The same kind of movie this bro just called white folk psychopathic for. The same kind of movie for that, but it's for black folk. Same movie. That this Wilsonite, like I said, is going to tell you it's psychopathic for, man, I don't know what's going on with my voice, but it's psychopathic for a white man to put out the same type of movie that you could recognize as self-love, self-interest, to put out a Nat Turner movie with positive black roles, positive black love, and negative white roles, right? The same kind of movie, right? He's like, yo, when the white man blacklists that's psychopathic. Like what? Make up your mind, bruh. You see what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm trying to tell you about. We mixing sanity and insanity, and I'm telling you, it's a self-miseducation, because I tell you, this bro was on point. He knows, he engaged a lot of material as far as I'm concerned, because he was telling me, if you know history, like, I don't know anybody gonna tell me if I don't know history, but he was telling me I don't know history. So it's like, he engaged material. Okay, he's not like, oh, I just woke up, blah blah blah. No, he been like for instance, one of the sisters I put in my book is Affion. He knew about her already, and that's a good sister right there, right? But like I said, he's engaging the Wilson. He's looking at Wilson. He's using Wilson as some sort of like authority, and then it's self-contradictory, It's self-contradictory right there. There's a movie that casts whites in a negative role. He doesn't think that's self-love, self-interest, but then he's wondering why white folk would blacklist Nate Parker. It's like, what are you talking? And he's like, that's crazy. That ain't self-love. That ain't self-interest. Meanwhile, if there's a white boy who puts out a movie that casts black people in a negative role and white people in a positive role, and black folk do not blacklist him. And blacklist is not even a good word, right? But you understand what I'm saying. And white people do not, or let's say whitelist. They don't whitelist. Let's not even reverse it. You know what blacklist means, right? And black people do not blacklist. They're the psychopathic ones. Period. You know what I'm saying? White people put out stuff for black folk that puts white people in a positive. It's like I got I'm not. I mean, look, I got like a lot of good black folk was watching Game of Thrones or something, but like that was all positive white role models. I mean, it also had quote unquote negative. I mean, I don't know. I ain't really watching the movie, but my point being that anytime white people put out something that's negative for black folk, positive for white folk, black folk don't blacklist those people. And like I said, black folk is in the name. They're the name of blacklist. They're supposed to be blacklisted, but like again, I mean, I just wanted to go through this list. And show you what self-love, self-interest is. And I'm trying to explain to you it's not psychopathy, but it's nationalism. And like, that's what I'm trying to tell you, that like a lot of the black folk, they don't give you the nationalist perspective. And maybe I need to do a podcast on this about how, Fuller, and by the way, if you don't know who Fuller is, Nearly Fuller Jr., he's all the white supremacy dude. Malcolm X, you know Malcolm X. If you don't know Malcolm X, something wrong with you. And I shouldn't say that. So, you might be pretty normal. But then there's Amos Wilson. He's a cat. He's really popular too. But it's like, you're not going to get the nationalist perspective. So if you're looking to get the nationalist perspective, real talk, and I'm talking about the nationalist perspective that makes it so that you ain't saying stuff like that you understand how to behave as a people of self-interest, self-love, or people who want to get power and gain power. if cause nobody's gonna tell you this. None of these other people are gonna tell you this. And look, I'm telling you, I've been in this national, I've been in the Pan-African scene for a minute. You look up the African Blood Siblings website. You probably, if you was interested in African history at any point in the last, let's say, decade, you might have came across this website at least once. Okay. The reality is this, that, and if you didn't, that's cool. But what I'm saying is that I've been active, and I noticed, I started to see that our people do not understand nationalism, and we end up saying crazy stuff like this. Because like I said, I even saw this other, another person, right? They said, look, man, I'm looking at this, this Democrat debate, and only person that brought up race was the person who, were the black people, and it's like, well, yeah. Why would a white person bring a race? You know what I'm saying? Like they have a base, they have a constituency, they have a, white folk don't, if you was white in America, you don't gotta worry about black, you don't have to worry about black, the harm being done to black folk. In fact, look here, this is pretty interesting too, and I'm gonna close on this, right? But this white boy, this brother, showed a video, right, where he made an audio clip of a white boy who was saying, look, instead of us going out saying nigga, right, what we could do, because that's too explicit, right, what we could do is we could say we're going to lower taxes or something like that. Something he says, I don't know verbatim, but I think he said something like, we're going to lower taxes, and if we lower taxes, white folk will put two and two together that the people that the masses are going to suffer. But the black masses will suffer more than the white masses. And because the black masses will suffer more than the white masses, white people understand that's a good thing. And why is that a good thing? Because look, matter of fact, I shouldn't even close on that. I want to tell you this. So like I said, I've been in the Pan-Africanism a long time. Once upon a time, like conscious community didn't have no YouTube, right? We had DVD, right? And a sisters, my elder sister, she's from America, whatever, right? She would share with me DVDs. She shared me a Khalid Muhammad. She shared me a Claude Anderson, right? And so for this Claude Anderson one, this was pretty interesting. I don't know how true this is because I don't really feel like it's that true. But Claude Anderson saying, particularly for some of the colonies, right? Black folk came as indentured servants, not as slaves. Okay, sometimes black folk will come as indentured servants, not as slaves, right? So that means that black folk would be there for a certain amount of time, right? Or would work for somebody for a certain amount of time, and then they would be free to just be normal citizens, right? And at some point, when there was so many free black men, right? They owned land and they had their own businesses, and they were just successful, quote unquote, Americans, if you will, right? They was getting the white women, because pretty much, they was important. Not kidding. Like I said, you engage history, you probably say, well, this is probably not true, but this is important. He said they was engaging, they got these white women, because the reality is this, that if you was a white man and you go pound for pound against a black man in any sort of capacity, right, you gonna fall short, right? So you are the most desirable male, period. If you're a black man, you're the most desirable male, period. Just like the black woman is the most desirable female. But as far as I understand, it was more like in this I feel like it's a made up scenario, but in this made up scenario, black men came more than came over to America more than black women. It's kind of like real life, right? We come more, right? All right, that was a little disgusting. Right? All right, but anyway, look. Or maybe it's not like real life, you know what I'm saying? All right, but anyway, look. So what I'm saying is this though. Because pound for pound, so eventually white people. Well, Claude Anderson would say that some black person was the first person to make somebody a permanent servant, right? And introduce servitude. But the point being that the larger narrative is that slavery would come about through that. Like this whole black folk are not gonna be indentured servants at all came about through this reality that if you had free black men, right? They would be the predominant political, economical, and cultural force in America. Okay, and white people weren't gonna have that. So, and I say all that to say that this is pretty much the end all be all of their self love, self interest. This reality that truly black man is superior to the white man. Okay, and you could say I don't believe that, I don't believe that. But see, because like my thing is this: the only reason why I would even say white folk have psychopathy is because of their lack of melanin, and the only reason why I would say black folk is superior is because they profusion of melanin. Well, that's not the only reason. There's also the historical narrative. But what I'm saying is white folk understand that a free, unimpeded black people would outdo white people. It's like with Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's like with it's like with Rosewood. It's like with anything. Black folk free and unimpeded would outdo white folk. Okay? Or would debilitate white folk. Just like when I began, Iraq and Afghanistan. If Iraq and Afghanistan were powerful nations, America would not have that. Like your airplane costs, your driving costs, your car costs, all that. Your shipping costs, all that would be inflated because Iraq and Afghanistan are free. And it's the same with like if Africa was free. Okay, if Africa was free and powerful, the cost of your laptops, your electronics, all that would be inflated because they're no longer accessing these resources for cheap. Okay, I understand, but IBM is like in that Coltan, in the Congo. You know what I'm saying? Or let's not say IBM, or let's say Mac or Apple. Those places, Dell, they're in the Coltan getting this stuff for cheap. You get what I'm saying? Like they have that, or they have that connect. And if they had to engage a powerful African nation, right, they wouldn't have that for cheap. Okay? They wouldn't have that for cheap. They'd have that for reasonable prices, but reasonable prices for priceless material is not something that they can afford. So you have to understand from a geopolitical sense what self-interest, self-love is, and what psychopathy is. And I'm telling you, you're not. If you had been convinced, if you were convinced otherwise, if you realize that what I'm saying is more factual than what the other brother's saying, which is fine, right? But if you realize that, and of course I'm gonna show the brother this, he's good people, right? But if you realize this, then like I said, get my book. And if my book's on your reading list, but it's down the line, move it up. You don't need to be reading nothing else if nothing else is telling you what to do. Okay, you don't need to be. I mean, unless you're reading something on like there's me personally, my thoughts is this: you read this book. That's it. Just get it. Just order it. Get it. And stop waiting. It's not supposed to be on your list behind anything. Because this is another thing too. You gotta realize, I'm the author. I'm right now, as far as I can tell, I'm alive. You can engage me. You can write me. Like I said, you got my Discord. You got my WhatsApp. That means you got my phone number. Okay? You got my Discord. You got my Twitter. At Onita said. You got my YouTube. You got my email. Okay? You can contact the author. You can engage. We can build together. But what I want you to do is I want you to read this book. All right? And when you do that, and not just that, like if you want to engage me on anything, I got you. You get what I'm saying? I got you. So get this book, engage me. I want you to write reviews after you read it. This is a big book, all right? Not too many people have finished it yet because it's huge. This is like worth every penny. But what I'm saying is get this book, and like you're gonna see, like you're gonna open your eyes now. If you thought you was woke before, some of y'all think y'all woke, y'all still asleep. You gonna be woke, okay? You gonna be, you gonna have Ethiopian coffee. You know what I'm saying? Like you gonna have coffee from the horn. You know what I'm saying to you? So, and I don't drink coffee, but I'm just telling you, like you're gonna be woke. But that's it. That's the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, we on KWZ Radio. Check out the Bitter Medicine podcast. Check out other podcasts. Check out the whole network. And like I say, contact me. You got my WhatsApp. You got my Discord. You got my Twitter. Follow, write some reviews, and you got my book. Just get my book. Get others to get the book, and let's build. Let's rebuild Africa. Let's make it so that white people let's do self-love, self-interest the real way, and stop with this nonsense. All right, you got me. All right, family. Peace and love, peace and blessings. Shemi Hotep, Uncle Josh and Neb Neb, Aman, Aman, Ma'at, Dua Necha, and Nita Yadu.